Hey neighbor, let's get out of this office and get up there to the garden. I don't spend as much time in the garden as I'd like to sometimes, but I try to make an effort to get up there as much as I could. The reality is I started this business because I enjoyed gardening and wanted people to, want to be able to help people, but the reality of running the business sometimes it gets in the way of my gardening. If I had my druthers, I'd rather just spend time up there and planting stuff and tending the stuff and trialing stuff. That's kind of where my heart is. But, running a business, you got other things to deal with, employees, inventory, money. You got to have enough money to pay everybody or they get a little ill come the weekend. So you got all that to have to deal with, but I try to manage that best I can so I can spend as much time doing what I enjoy doing. Today we're going to be out here in the garden. I thought I'd bring you along. But I want to stop by the greenhouse first and talk about it a little bit because I know a lot of y'all out there are always interested in greenhouse. So we're going to talk about that and I'll show you where I've come with it and decisions I've made and what I'm proud of and what I would change. Now, my greenhouse, if you've not seen it before, is from Atlas. They're here in South Georgia. It's a big greenhouse company. But they sell a model right here. They sell several models for the residential market, but this particular one here is the one I chose a few years ago, and I really like it a lot. I think it's ideal for the southern gardener. You guys up north, probably not so much, but down here in the south, we have to worry about ventilation as much or more as we do about keeping the greenhouse warm. So this one right here really lends itself well because it's got these manual type sides that you can let up and down. Yeah, it's manual, but it works fine for me because I either come out here late in the afternoon or early in the morning and adjust them how it needs to be. Now, one thing that a lot of people struggle with on a greenhouse is where to get the solid sides and the top, the corrugated type, or go with the plastic. Well, here's my thoughts on that. You can tell mine looks a little ratty right now. I just ordered new plastic a couple of days ago. We're fixing to replace all this. This plastic right here has been on this greenhouse for 5 years. Now it was used, believe it or not, before I put it on this one. I had a high tunnel over here, and when Hurricane Michael come through about 5 years ago, it got my high tunnel, and I ended up taking it down because I really didn't need a high tunnel. But we was able to salvage some of the plastic on it. Now, that high tunnel was a lot bigger than what this is, so we could save a good bit of that plastic that had been on that high tunnel for probably 4 years. So this plastic here is probably around 9 years old. Well, it's time now to replace it. We washed it this spring. You have to wash it every now and then. You can tell it, we could use it again now if we weren't going to replace it. Look on the back there. See how it's tearing? Yeah, well, it's time to replace it. So this is 6 mil clear plastic. They offer white and clear. I don't know why anybody want to use white. I asked the lady why you would use white. She says it helps shade it some. Well, in my greenhouse, I want the sunlight to get in there because I'm trying to grow plants. If I shade it some, I'm liable to get some leggy plants. I can't understand why you'd want to use a white film on your greenhouse unless you was growing shade-loving plants, which I'm not. Anyway, this is a 6 mil poly, which is standard in the industry. What it cost me to replace this plastic as far as materials was $135. Now that was plastic and shipping. Now that's really not bad for every 7 or 8 years. It's a little aggravating to replace it. You have to use this wiggle wire in here. If you don't know what wiggle wire is, you probably need to Google that and look at it. So we'll have this plastic in a few days, and when we get time caught up in the warehouse, I'll bring some of the guys out here and we'll take this off and replace it. Probably take 2 or 3 hours. Now the one thing about putting this poly on is you need some hands. It's hard to do by yourself, nearly impossible, because you got to stretch it and you got to put this wiggle wire in there. So it's going to take us probably at least 4 people to put this on there and to do it correctly. So if you decide to go with a greenhouse and you want to put poly on there, you better line some of your buddies up to help you because you're going to need all the help you can get. It's not strenuous or anything. It's just you need those hands to pull it tight so that you can get that in there because you want it to look nice when you get through with it. Now I got a little bit of repairs I need to do. That right there come off, so I'm gonna screw that back up. It's that time of the year when I'm thinking about, okay, all the things I need to do I need to get caught up on. Well, replacing my plastic, my poly on my greenhouse was one thing. Another thing is it's time for me to go in there and clean my greenhouse up. It's probably been neglected a little bit, probably like yours has if you got one. And it's, we'll come here and pull everything out, clean it up, get all organized again, and get everything go ready for springtime. Get us some new poly on there and we'll be good to go. Now this particular greenhouse, you don't have to put on a footing, but as you see here, I did put mine on a footing, a concrete footing, and we laid one row of blocks all the way around, and then we attached the greenhouse to that. That has worked really well for me. I've seen it done on 4x4 treated wood before, and sometimes they can warp and turn and decay and things like that. Had this greenhouse, I know, over 10 years, because this is only the second time I've replaced the poly. Well, no, this will be, I put poly on when it was new. I replaced it one time about 6 years, well, it was 5 years ago, but that poly had been on there probably 6 years. This greenhouse is probably somewhere around 11 years old. It's had poly put on it twice, so I'm in the fixing to put poly on it the third time, and it's held up well. The footings held up well there. Now, one thing that I did do later on, if you see these rocks right here, I come in here and put these rocks in. I like the rocks, especially because I got a lip there with my footer that keeps the rocks in place. But the main thing is it lets my water work through. Used to, before I put the rocks in there, my feet would get really muddy when I'd walk in there when we was growing a lot of stuff, and it's just nasty. Anyhow, this helps keep it a lot cleaner. I would not use these smaller river rocks unless I had a border there to keep them in, because they will find their way to escape out. But we got this little lip right here. Some say it's a tripping hazard. I ain't never had no problem with that. I know I got to get over it to go in there, but it holds my rocks in place. So anyhow, that's my greenhouse. It's time to get everything cleaned up, make some repairs on it, new poly, and get ready for the growing season, because January will be here before you know it. And we start some of our spring stuff in January, so we got to get that done. All right, so let's mosey on out here to the garden. Before we do, I want to show you this celery right here. Now this is tango celery, growing in a container here. Man, look how pretty that stuff is. It's growing like crazy now. Celery, I can tell you, if you've never grown it before, you're going to have a little patience getting those seeds germinated and get them up. They're a little slow. But there's one thing I've noticed about this celery is once you transplant it into a pot or container or raised bed, man, it shoots up and pops and grows in a hurry after that point. A little hard to germinate, have patience, but you'll be amazed when you transplant it how much it pops. I'm growing this in a root pouch. Mama Hoss grew some in a root pouch like that last year. It did wonderful. Raised beds, containers, I think it works great for that. Now, I've not planted any into flat, bare ground, but I think it would work okay. But no more celery that we use. I think we can grow plenty of it in containers and raised beds. Another thing that I'm growing right here, I've never grown before, is nasturtium. This is the edible flower right there. Now, we're going to be eating the leaves on this right here. Planted them kind of thick like a microgreen. These right here are peppery. It'll just amaze you the flavor of these things. And we was all blown away. When I got these things, I had to carry them around to everybody in the office, let them taste them. Kind of a peppery, hot type flavor, kind of like a mustard, but hotter. But it left real quick. So I think that's a great addition for any dish there. I like growing these new things I've never grown before, and realizing that they may be a little bit different and finding a way to use them. Kind of reminds me a lot of a mustard. You know how some of the hot mustards are, but then it goes away real quick. All right, so I got a little extra garden spot here, and I got out here yesterday, and I've already got some onions planted. I got a lot of onions, but I don't know what it is. I want to plant some more. So I planted me another row of onions out here yesterday. Now, I didn't put these on drip tape, and I did that for a reason, because I'm going to use half this plot as a cover crop, so I'm going to have to use overhead irrigation. So I said, I'm not going to use drip tape there. I don't see what difference it makes. Planted these in there about 6-8 inches apart. I got some reds in there, some red creoles in there. So I'm gonna plant me another row of beets right beside it, because we love beets, and I don't have that many planted. I got a special variety that a breeder sent me that I need to grow out for a trial. Now I got down to 29 degrees last night. It's been kind of cool here, which is normal for this time of year. Here we are at the end of November. It's normal to have this cold weather, but it's going to be warm for the next few days. I looked at the weather, it's going to be in the 60s, lows in the 50s. So I'm going to plant these beets today. I'm going to plant some tillage radish or daikon radish as a cover crop in the rest of this area right here. I don't think I'm going to have any problem getting germination with these warm days coming up, so I don't think it's going to be an issue. The daikon radish, I don't have a lot planted this year. I got a little bit of volunteers coming up in my big garden out there, but I love to grow those every year. But the main thing, folks, is I'm planting all this year with our new drill hopper. Well, this new variety I'm planting is Red Atlas beet here. And I'm going to use a new drill hopper here and try to drill them out and get them pretty good spacing on there. See if I can get them out. Now, beets normally are hard to plant with a planter because, let me show you here, if you've never planted beets before, you know they're light and fluffy and very irregular as far as size. Therefore, they can be hard to plant with a regular planter that has holes in there, such as our other one, our regular hopper there. It's one of those seeds that we call it difficult. But with this new drill hopper, should not be an issue. Just dump me about 3 packs of these in there. Should probably be more than enough. Now, I scratched me out a row here, 36 inches away from my onions there. You could plant these things on 30 inches, possibly even closer than that. But 36 inches is going to give me room to get in there and keep everything weeded out. Now, let's get here and see if we can't set our hopper here, our gate, so that we put out the desired amount. Well, that's a little too tight. Let's pull it up a little bit. Looks perfect. All right, let's get it done. Well, I got a few seeds left over, but ain't no big deal. I'm just gonna take that wing nut off right there and pull this hopper off. And then try to pour these excess seeds in this pack here to save some for later. Now, let me spill a few here and there, but I got most of them. Now I'm gonna plant the rest of this spot here in tillage radish. Tillage radish is the same thing as daikon radish. It's that radish that makes that long root there. It's known to be able to break up the hard pan. That's what most people use it for. But it's one of those cover crops that I grow every year. I don't necessarily have a hard pan problem in this spot here. I just love growing the daikon radish, so I'm gonna plant it out here this year. And a side benefit it is from is you can harvest those daikons and you can eat those as well. And we really love radish roots roasted. Now the radish seed's gonna be a little different. See there, they're more round, consistent there than our beet seeds. Now you could plant this with our regular Hoss seeder there, but I'm gonna use my drill hopper because I want to plant them a little thick there because I'm planting them as a cover crop. Now I know I'm gonna have to adjust my gate a little bit because those beet seeds is bigger. So I'm just gonna go ahead and push it down just a little bit. Then I'm gonna put me some seeds in there and I kind of test it and see how it comes out there. All right, let's see here. Oh man, look at me, first try. That's perfect right there. See there? Can you see those seeds coming out there? All right. Now, normally in the past, we didn't have this option right here. In my cover crops, I would broadcast them out there and I would rake them in. This right here is going to be a lot better because I don't have to come back and rake them in. And plus, every time I broadcast something, I get it a little too thick for my liking. So planting these things in rows, and I'm going to put my rows fairly close together because it is a cover crop. I'm going to be able to manage how many seeds I put out there a lot better, and plus I'm going to cover those seeds up as I go. Or if I scattered them, I had to take a rake and come back here and rake them in. I just think this new drill hopper is going to be ideal for planting cover crops. So I'm going to get away from my beet row there, probably about 36 inches, about 3 foot, and I'm going to start. Let me set my depth, make sure I get these seeds in the ground good. You want to cover these seeds up. That's basically all you want to do. Cover them up maybe a 1/4 inch at the most. Oh man, that's it right there. And I'm just going to run up and down. Now I'm not going to mark my rows off or anything. I'm just going to roll down through here. Try to get them about, I don't know, anywhere from 18 inches, 2 foot apart. But being as this a cover crop, if I get less than that or more than that, it's okay. No big deal. Whoop. Now you can see I got some trash there in my soil there where I tilled it up with this garden seeder with the rolling coulters on there. Not an issue at all, it just rolls right through it. And one thing I've noticed with the drill hopper, planting my cover crops, well any seeds really, but especially cover crops, is it takes a lot less seed. My seeding rate is a lot less because I'm not wasting any seed. Putting those seeds in the ground, covering them up. So it didn't take near as much seed as it would if I was broadcasting. And just like that, I'm through. But boy, I got a lot of seeds left over here. So I'm gonna get these, try to save as many as I can, put them back in my bag here, save them for later. Just wiggle it off that cedar. Well, I got to get my components out there. I don't want to leave them in the seed bag. And I'm going to spill a few, but it ain't going to be bad. There we go. Well, we made short work of that. So I'll get it here after a while, get my water sprinkler in there and start watering all that in, get these beets up, get these radishes up, get my onions watered and get them kicked off. You know that 29 degrees we had last night, actually got down to 29 the night before too. It's gonna make our greens really sweet. There's something about cold weather that makes those greens taste a lot better. Well, we got a pile of them. You know, we got mustard, turnips, and give it some rutabagas there. Been sharing them with some of the girls inside there. A few of them young girls I'm having to teach how to cook mustard greens and turnip greens. Believe it or not, they've never eaten any before. So got out here yesterday and gave a few of them away and had to give them a quick lesson on how to tear the veins out of the mustard greens and how to cook them. So winter garden, it's fun. Get out here and you know you have to put your jacket on a little bit. This cold weather's coming in here and it's okay, we need the cold weather. But we're still able to get out here and grow our own food, enjoy the garden even in temperatures like they are.